what a lot of people on reality television need is the talk therapy afterwards, is the supportive therapeutic environment. Like, I left that show and then went back to my own therapist, who was a 65-year-old woman who had no idea of what reality television was really. And I had to spend 2 sessions just giving the background of why this is important, why I'm not just like making this up, why having social anxiety afterwards is a little bit different when people actually are looking at you, and like, because that's different than just going around and thinking people are looking at you.
Well, it's almost like you had to go back to work.
Yes. And I'm like, fine, I'll just get my master's in it and I'll just do it. Forget it. I'll do it.
Welcome to This Helps, where we sit down with the world's leading helpers to find out how they're helping and also what helps them. By the end of this episode, you'll have practical tools to improve your own mental health. I'm Marlon Morgan, founder and CEO of Wellness Together, an organization dedicated to improving the mental health of thousands of people every day. Join me and my insightful Gen Z co-host, Hannah Ravitch, as we sit down for authentic and vulnerable conversations with people dedicated to helping others. What helps? Let's find out. Hi, Sarah. So nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks for being on This Helps.
I am happy to be here talking about what helps.
I've heard you and your podcast now. I've become a listener over the last couple weeks.
Thank you.
Your podcast is called This Changes Everything, but I really feel like it could be This Helps because I feel like you focus on a lot of mental health topics that are helpful.
Yes, I try to. And, I feel like when we get the help that we need, it kind of does change everything, right? So much can change with just a little teeny tiny bit of effort. I have a friend, my friend Susie, who is my co-host on another podcast, the Brain Candy podcast. She says, all you really need to do is just start flossing and your whole life will change. Just one little tiny thing. Like, add flossing to your schedule or routine, and it's amazing what will come from that. Just one teeny tiny little change. So,
gosh, that makes sense. I heard recently, I keep getting very targeted for middle-aged advertisements, beyond even beyond they're getting me ready. You know how they put out the Christmas stuff really early in the season? I'm getting I saw an AARP thing. I mean, I'm 44, but I sadly was totally interested, and I read an article in it, and it said that flossing actually reduces your overall your overall inflammatory markers in your body. So I was like, okay, I guess I got to do it.
Oh my gosh, got to. It's so important.
That's great. Yeah. Hannah, are you a big flosser?
I am.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
Are you somebody who enjoys a water pick?
I don't, because when I had braces, it was really pushed on me. And so now
you're anti.
I'm not a fan. Yeah.
I love it. I've crossed over into that world, and now I'm obsessed. This is now officially a flossing podcast. Yeah. So this is now turned into a dental podcast, which I am not at all qualified to speak on.
Well, I actually thought when you first started talking that you were talking about the sort of 90s hip hop version of flossing.
The dance moves.
Yeah, it's just sort of, not even the dance moves. No, I'm saying
we're just talking about just being flossy. And just fly.
Yeah. Just flossing, cruising up and down the street. You know, you wash your car. You just sort of, is that a thing anymore? Hannah, you got to tell us. Hannah's our Gen Z resident, speaks for the entire generation. Has anyone used the term flossing for showing off?
I have not heard that.
Oof. All right. Disappointing.
But I like it. It's fun.
So, Sarah, we usually start with your best day when it comes to self-care. So, and it doesn't even have, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't.
Yes.
But how would you design it? Take us through 24 hours.
I already know. This is super easy because I do this and I love it. I moved myself to Colorado for this self-care experience. Fortunately, my self-care really only happens during the months of November to February, March, April. Sometimes I can get April, May, because I love snowboarding. I love being in the mountains so much. So my ultimate self-care day, I have done, and it's 24 hours. I think that's a good thing to mention because the night before, I'm going to lay out all my clothes. That's a big one for this ADHD brain.
Okay.
Gotta lay out the clothes for the next day. I really like to do that. I get my water bottle filled. Everything's ready to go. Then I wake up like 5:30 in the morning. I load everything up in the truck. I drive up to the mountains, and I make it in time to catch the sunrise on the snow on the mountains. It's this beautiful glowy pink that's just like gorgeous. It's so beautiful.
We still don't know what you're about to do. I feel like this is incredible. So you've prepped a lot here, but I don't know. Yes. So you're in the mountains.
I'm in the mountains, and I make my way up to either Keystone or Breckenridge Mountain, and I spend between, as soon as the mountain opens, 9 a.m. to as late as these knees and hips will allow. So maybe like a 2 o'clock, at least 12,000 feet of vertical skiing experience. And I'm skiing or snowboarding. And then I come home to a burrito that I have also pre-prepped that from days before. I've got a whole stockpile of them in my refrigerator or in my freezer. Microwave one of those and watch some movie on TV and go to bed by 7:30, 8. Perfect day.
Early bedtime, too. So,
well, you're so tired at that time. You have to. It's like, I'm going to crash.
That's an incredible amount of energy that you just talked about expending in one. I want to point out.
It fills my soul in a way that, like, being in the mountains and snowboarding is like the greatest thing in the whole entire world to me.
How long have you been snowboarding for?
Oh, since I was like really into it, only the last maybe 4 years or so since I moved up here, where I've really gotten to go at least 20 days a season, and I just dedicate like a lot of time to it. But now, I mean, I'm hoping to be able to go like 40 plus 50 days this year to be able to get out there and, get those passes that I can go whenever. So I make use of it. But yeah, I've been probably like about 4 or 5 years, been really going for it. But yeah.
That's like Olympian type. Yeah. No. Well, we don't know how old you are, and we're not going to ask. But I know you're younger than me. That's like a superhuman amount of energy, right?
I do understand that. I think and I have friends who will always tell me, like, have you heard of the indoors? It's great in there. Like, have you heard of houses? Like, people love sleeping in those instead of intense outside. Because I love to, like, I think I'm like one of those. I don't know. I've recently been watching. This is, I promise, ties in a lot of Cesar Millan, the dog trainer guy, like that show.
Dog Whisperer.
Dog Whisperer. Great. Yeah. Yes. And I've learned a lot about different breeds of dogs, and certain ones you just have to get that energy out. You have to let it run around in circles or chase something or do its job, or it will go stir crazy, or it'll develop a weird anxiety or some weird behavior that it can't explain. And it's just because, like, that dog needs to go, like, run around a bit. And so I think I'm kind of like the golden retriever, something that needs to run around a bit. And if I don't, I will struggle with going to sleep at night. My routine gets thrown off. I'll be like up till 3 o'clock in the morning, doom scrolling through Instagram or something. All my habits are terrible. But if I can have like one day a week where I can just expend so much energy, and it is enough to drain the tank to then leave me like fresh and ready for the next week.
I was going to ask, but you might have already identified. So your dog breed spirit animal is a golden retriever? Because I'm almost getting vibes of more energy than that.
Oh, well, I sometimes I see a Cocker Spaniel and I'm like, I look like that dog. You pull up, if you Google Cocker Spaniel, that dog and I are dead ringers, same haircut, same everything. So I think if you get me I think those might be energetic dogs who might have like tasks and need to do a job. And,
okay. Yeah. So that's more, okay, yeah, I'm seeing it actually.
You see it? Here, I'll put the hair in front, then you can really get the look.
That's great. We should do a link in the show notes.
I look exactly like that dog.
I mean, it's a cute dog for sure. Adorable. And it looks like it would have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And curly hair on the sides, big curly ears. Wow. Adorable. I'm glad we got that. I didn't expect that on today's podcast. But when it comes to energy, I didn't give you a very good intro because you are essentially reality TV royalty.
Oh my gosh, that is a stretch. Maybe one of the early founders or something like that. I don't know, but
that's how you become royalty. You gotta be around since early founders. That was like, I think you were honestly your run. I would say from around 2008-9 to 2015-16. Like, I would have to imagine that was the height of the shows that you were on. You're on 9 seasons of The Challenge.
Yeah.
And you were Real World Brooklyn. Is that what started it?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I forget the number of seasons I was on, but yes, I did a lot of those seasons. That was the exact year run. And yeah, Real World Brooklyn, I was a totally different person then. I was just, I look back and watch videos and clips, just like, wow, look at little baby Sarah, who thought she knew a whole bunch, but was, I don't know, just, I was very open. I was very vulnerable. And that there were good things and bad things that came from that, positives and negatives. And it was a wonderful experience where I really got an opportunity to learn more about myself because I chose to be very authentic on there. I mean, as authentic as I could have been at 21. I have learned a lot and grown a lot in who I am now because I'm damn near 40. No. So that is a big change, you know. You hopefully change as a person in that amount of time. A lot of times people will freeze me in that moment of time and hold me accountable for things that I did when I was 21 or said when I was 21. And I'm like, I feel different now. I would do things different now. I've learned a lot. I've changed. But it was a wonderful experience, and I grew a lot. And I think it allowed me the opportunity to meet such interesting people and hear so many different stories that I really knew being a therapist and being in the field of mental health was like something that I was very passionate about and wanted to do, and that I got to explore that in a deeper way on that show, which I thought was really wonderful.
It's too bad you can't go back and ask them to show you their documented life when they were 21, because I think, it's a little one-sided. Right. I mean, anybody's life, like, and you could pick the highlights or the lowlights, and I'll tell you, I did a lot of real boring stuff too, but that wasn't on TV. And so it doesn't make good TV. That's not what people, they want to have a feeling about what you're doing. And honestly, I think the feeling they want to have is that they would do it better or differently, you know, and feel good about themselves. So it's a pretty judgy industry. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was in comedy, and he recently called the industry emotionally violent. And I thought that was, is that sort of what propelled you into the mental health field? Because give us the timeline. So you were on several, a lot of seasons. You were on TV a lot.
Yes.
And then now you are, I think I read you were an AMFT, but now did you get your license? Or
not yet. I'm still working on those relational hours that were just slowly chipping away at those.
Good.
But again, one day I will be.
Well, that's like 3,000 hours, right?
Yes, it is. It's a lot of hours. So, but you know what? I love every minute of it. So it's what I want to be doing. But before I was on the show, my undergrad work was studies was in psychology, and I wanted to be a therapist, but I thought I was going to work. Well, I mean, and I did for a long time. I was working a lot as like a peer counselor for survivors of sexual abuse. And so that was what I thought I was going to go into and do, like put all of my energy into, and realized that at 21, I was not yet healed and not in a place where I was ready to help people like that. So went back to school, got my master's, went into therapy, and now I do that, but in a way that is much more helpful than what I could have done at 21.
I think we do that a lot. And, in my undergrad as in psychology, I think all of us were in there, and it was just like the first few classes you had, you would kind of figure out why everyone was in there pretty quickly. And it would be like, raise your hand. Well, but, what if someone, asking for a friend, what if someone went through this? And it was like, okay, that person, clearly. Yeah. So we were all kind of trying to figure out ourselves. But that is a good point, because sometimes you can try to help people too early, and it's not good for you or the people. Right.
I needed time. To learn and grow and know myself more. And so much of the work that you do as a grad student in the field of therapy is on yourself, is on understanding your own triggers and your own responses, how to not bring those into the room. And I think that almost was like undoing everything I'd learned in reality television, because that is all about bring yourself into the room.
Right.
It's all about you. In fact, we're going to interview you on it for the next 2 hours, whatever.
Well, just to take a break back to that, what's it like being on set? So those times where it cuts to you talking about something that happened, so they sit you in there for 2 hours?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. So what they do, for the challenge, we would have a same schedule every week. It would be a challenge day, elimination day, then interview day, then challenge day, elimination day, interview day, day off. So,
wow. Are you in a hotel this whole time?
No, we're in a house all together. The crew's in a hotel, which is nice for them. Yeah. We're in a house that looks nice on camera, but sometimes they're just rushing to get it finished or get it together, and they will often paint only up as high as the camera will go. So, I mean, in my real world house, they didn't even finish painting the top of the walls. They were just roller
what a
lines
bummer.
Screws that aren't screwed in all the way. I'm like, this is
that's like a model home. That's like a Arrested
Yes.
Development Bluth model home. Is what
100%. That is what it's like being on set in one of those houses, for sure.
Yikes.
And so the days, challenge days are really long, but interview days or elimination days, those often happen at night, so they'll be really boring. You'll just sit around most of the day until the elimination happens. And then you'll have interview days, and interviews, they will take you, sometimes it's on site, sometimes it's to some random building somewhere else in town that they've rented and turned it into a little studio, which is so small. You are sitting 3 feet away from the camera guy, and it's so tiny. It's always so hot, and they just ask you every question about anything, and then they make you read every single the details of the challenge and the rules, because somebody has to narrate it. So they let everybody do that and then pick the one that they like. So it's a lot of reading lines of rules and going over things, which makes people think that their thoughts and opinions and feelings are so important, because where else does somebody ask you about them twice a week for hours for, sometimes 2 months straight, and you go home thinking, well, my opinion is clearly important and I should comment on everybody and everything. And I think the reality people who can let that go and transition into normal life do better than those who can't and hold on to that ego outside of the challenge.
That's so hard, because you would be at a dinner party that would be clearly obnoxious, but
the worst.
But on a reality TV, that's what people want, I think, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Hard to know with some of those guys where the line between real life and reality TV is.
I think it's also just kind of it'd be really confusing, because our human side thinks oh, they really want to know, they're really interested. Oh, that's cool, and it feels good to share about ourselves. But then obviously the folks making this don't even care enough to paint the top of the wall.
They
how
don't
much
care
could they?
at all. Yes, you're so. And if you're smart and you start looking around, you're like, wait a sec, they actually don't give a shit. And then as soon as the show is over, I mean, it is the strangest thing. I have made it to the finals 5 times, I think, and every single time you cross the finish line, the last person crosses, and they drop those cameras. They do not care about a single word you say after it's done. It is like it's almost you're like, what?
Heartbreaking.
Aren't you gonna keep filming me? This is the best part.
That's like a job. At a job, you wouldn't even do that. Like if you have coworkers.
Crazy. It is the strangest thing because they're so happy to be done with their job. It's like they are really looking at the clock like, okay, and that camera's heavy. They're like running through. They don't want to do it any more than a second longer than they have to. And then you're just like
emotionally violent.
Yeah.
That is
it's totally emotionally violent.
Wow.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So much therapy you need after that.
So what kept you coming back to the show?
Okay, I've done a lot of reflecting on this and thinking about this and what brought me there in the first place, what kind of things a lot of those challengers and cast members had in common. And you can tell the kind of people who maybe not necessarily thrive in chaos, some of them do, but are very familiar with it. They're very comfortable in it, even if it is unhealthy for them. And we will not move towards things that are always 100% good for us. We'll gravitate towards things that are familiar and maybe look like something we're used to or grew up with or environments we were in when we were younger. That kind of chaos was my home. A lot of the chaos side of it was like my home life growing up. It was very traumatic. It was very unpredictable. And there were elements of that that made me feel like, oh, this is not a problem for me at all. Everything else everybody's complaining about, I got this. And then the parts of it that were very strict and routine and predictable, I think really catered to my ADHD side of my brain, and also the part of me that grew up with no rules and no structure growing up. It was like I got that there, and I liked that somebody was there. Some people hate this, but I liked that somebody was telling me when to wake up and when to go to bed, and the meals were all. It took away so much decision-making, and decision-making for me is exhausting. So I like to limit the amount of decisions that I have to make because I recognize by the end of the day, I usually don't have enough energy left to do those things. So I think that environment felt good. And then I felt like I was proving something to myself and maybe to a lot of people who doubted me. You know, my brothers are both insane athletes, like physical specimens. And I had a friend over after the challenge, my friend Susie from the challenge, and she said, she was at dinner with my family, and she's like, aren't you guys impressed with Sarah and how much she crushed it, how strong she is and how physically capable? They thought she was being sarcastic, and they all started laughing. They all were like, oh, that is so funny. I was like, she is not making a joke. She is serious.
Invalidating.
I just got second place.
What?
Nobody thought that I was the physical one or the active one in the family. So I got this. So I felt like I was maybe proving people wrong. You know, I was always very athletic, but I had a body type that, I love Alona Mar and all those women out there who are making strong women popular because I was just strong, and that strength helped me win finals, but it also got me picked on when I was in high school, and people just didn't see that as an athletic body type.
Well, they thought you were too buff?
Or too chubby or fat or you name it, all the things that they're just too big, or you're too, you don't have that same kind of build. I don't know. It just didn't look like the kind of body that could make it up a mountain, and it can faster than all those dudes.
Yeah.
So,
were your brothers not watching the show or something?
No, they haven't watched it that much. We were actually talking about this at Thanksgiving. My mom hadn't either, really. She's seen episodes or here or there, but she was like, I should watch your show. Should we put on an episode now? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. Watch it on your own, guys.
Yeah,
hey,
please. I will not be
time.
taking a walk down that memory lane with you guys tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gosh. Well, I feel like they'd be, I think the joke's on them though, because there's nothing, you're like an absolute beast on there in the best kind of way.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Now, if they were to watch it, they maybe would know, but I'm not like that in my family. Like I'm kind of low key about some of the stuff and I think it's so normal. Like the stuff that we do in my family is the stuff that we do on challenges, but we're doing it on a regular basis. Like they're like paddleboarding in finals, and I'm like, I got one in my garage, right? Like we go out all the time, and it's like no big. And you're like, you carry it on your back, and you hike however many miles to get to wherever you need to go, and that's like normal, and it's fine, and it's what you do in
born
Colorado.
For this. Yeah.
So that felt like this is where I get to shine with those things that were kind of just normal activities in my family growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a good question, Hannah. I didn't think about, I guess for some reason I thought about it like a job. Like, of course, I'm just going to show back up. I'm Sarah Rice. I did well in the last one, and this is something I know how to do. But that's a good point. Like, we learn how to do things, whether we like it or not, based on our environment growing up. And even if it's, like you said, not great for you, it feels good to be proficient at something. And even if that is cutting through or being okay with chaos, especially when other people aren't, because it's just like, okay, well, I have this skill. Yeah,
and you get like rewarded for it, and it seems like a good thing that you can be on there and survive that kind of environment. Now, looking back as a therapist, I'm like, do not go. No, bad. That not healthy. Not good. Does not come out of that. And yes, that's exactly how I talk as a therapist.
What? That's what everyone wants to hear.
Bad. Don't do. No. What do you think? Bad. Terrible idea.
A little too much Cesar Milan on that one. I feel like he's just like.
You're right.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny.
So let's talk about being a therapist. What's that like now? Because so you're seeing clients.
Yes, I see clients, and I love it. It's the best job in the whole world, I think. And I think it's given me, having a podcast and talking about mental health and being open on that, and even being on the show, I think has given me an opportunity to connect with people who feel like they can trust me and feel like they connect with me. And like all the studies on like what is the thing that is the most helpful for clients, what like is the best for success, and it's always the relationship that you have with your therapist and how much you feel like your therapist trusts you and gets you. And so I think
that whole idea of goodness of fit in the research. And so I feel like I've really had it's been so wonderful, and I feel so lucky that being on reality TV has allowed me this space where I can show people the kind of person that I am and that I've been consistently for the past however many years. I mean, yes, grown, changed, but still my heart, I like to think, is in the same place, has been in the same place the whole time. And that's like what I bring to the office as a therapist and what I bring to my clients. And I love it. Yeah. How often are you getting a client who knows who you are? I think majority of them do. I think a lot of them come from listeners of the podcast or people who watch the show or follow me on social media. Every now and then somebody from the practice who just called in and, but most of the time they do. And some people think, oh, is it okay that I know who she is? Absolutely it is okay. It's just fine. And then some people think, well, oh no, is it going to be weird? There's this thing that happens when you are in the room and I mean, it's on Zoom, so it's still in the room, you know what I mean? Sure. But when I'm with my clients and when they are in therapy, in their sessions,
we are focused on them. Like, I mean, I've gone to therapy with people for years and been like, oh crap, I don't even remember her name because I'm like talking about me the whole entire time, which is what you're supposed to do. That's what,
that's safe to do that. Then.
Yes. And so you'd be surprised how fast the idea of, oh man, I'm having therapy with Sarah goes out the window, and I'm just a normal therapist who you can connect with and feel open with. And yeah, it's great.
It's so cool that your platform, it's like everything led to this. I feel like that's so powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, it does kind of feel like these are things I always talked about doing when I was on The Real World, and to think that that makes me very happy for like that little 21-year-old Sarah who, like, even though she felt very vulnerable and didn't know what she was doing then, like, knew that this is where she wanted to be, and now I get to do it. And it's just like when I get people who write into the show and say like, thank you so much, this has helped me in this way, or made me think about this different, or encouraged me to go to therapy or talk to someone or whatever. I listen to this with my family. Like, oh, that's the best. That's the most rewarding work. I mean, I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I think it feels good to have meaning and get meaning from your job. And it sounds like you've always kind of had that, though, at some level. You've always kind of had a little bit of a message to share because you were trying to help people since early on.
Yeah, for a long time. It's kind of been we were talking about this at Thanksgiving, that has always been the role in my family, like making sure everybody is okay.
Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
Birth order, okay.
Yeah.
You're the oldest. Well, that makes sense.
The parentified child, for sure. And this is the first time in my life that I feel like I'm allowing myself to, like, take care of me and do all those things that maybe I didn't do because I was taking care of other people's emotions or feelings. And that's why I can have awesome self-care days on the mountain.
I think that also might be something and maybe I just missed this, but it sounds like your awesome self-care day is by yourself.
Yes, it's by myself. Most of the time, every now and then there'll be a person who is also passionate about being in the mountains who'll go up with me and share with me. But that I am fully, the days where I've just been like high-fiving myself on the drive home, and I absolutely will do that, are days where I've just been like by myself and then thought, like, if 13-year-old you could see how fast you are going and how cool you look, man, she would be so stoked. Like, she would think, like, oh, I can't believe we're doing that. I can't believe that's our, like, we look so awesome. Like, that's everything I want to do. It took a long time to get here, and, you got to, like, be sucky at things for a while. I was, like, real bad, and it fell a lot. But now I'm, like, doing great, and it feels really good, and it's, like, everything I wanted.
That's awesome. So many of us have such a hard time, especially now, being alone for any amount of time. And I don't mean not being in deep, meaningful relationship. Right. I mean saying we're bored when really we're anxious and then scrolling.
Yes. Oh, and that is such, like, an easy out. It's I think we have to realize that it's just as important to keep promises to ourselves as it is to keep promises to other people. And when we do that, it is so, so rewarding. And we think, oh, I can't do this because I'm supposed to be doing something else. But, like, says who? And I heard, I think it was my supervisor who taught me this little gem, but she said, instead of thinking of it as being alone, think of it as being with yourself. And that is, like, if you can't be with yourself, then you're not going to be very fun with other people, or people are, what are other people going to do? You're basically then relying on other people to make you happy and for your own joy and for your own, like, well-being, and that is giving them too much of a job. I'm sorry. I'll take that responsibility. Thank you very much.
That's it. You're kind of taking your power back. Yeah. I think, as an oldest myself, it felt like the way that I could sort of control chaos was being needed by being the one that people came to and could ask questions of, and sort of feeling like, not saying I was, but feeling like the most responsible, capable person in the room.
Oh, yeah. That's familiar.
And that's really hard to give up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to recognize to what end, like that it feels so good to be needed, but it's like that you can't pour from an empty cup kind of thing. And I love the work that I do. I love feeling needed. I love being there for people, being there for like doing the whole Thanksgiving thing for my family and the whole thing.
There's healthy ways to do it.
Yeah, but I cannot do that unless I'm being a little bit, in my mind, I have to call it selfish, which is really just like everybody else is normal and regular.
Yeah, I don't want to diagnose you, but I'll say for me, that's the codependent selfish is like regular normal behavior.
Right. So I just tell myself, this is okay if you feel it was selfish. You're not really doing that. And there's a part of me that's like, I must have forgotten something. I'm letting somebody down. But if you can just push through that, you will get to that, like the joy and the fulfillment of keeping a promise to yourself.
How much is mental health talked about behind the scenes? Because it hardly comes up on screen. But what's it like? Yeah, but I mean,
you
in
mean
a positive way.
Before I started getting real mouthy about it? No, never. No, zero. I not at all. It wasn't until they started to recognize there were certain people who maybe were dangerous to have on. So they introduced I want to say it was probably 2000, maybe 11 or 12, maybe a little bit later. The MMPI became standard. And when they started doing that, they had added, at least on the challenge, this and the real world. I can't speak to other podcasts, or not podcasts, reality shows. They might do it better, and some of them have done a good job now. I'm seeing a lot of changes, and I'm very optimistic about the future. But was not like that on our show. And before that, we never talked to a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, anything. But after the MMPI, they needed somebody to then score it and
Well, you're going to get you're really going to uncover some. I mean, that's almost 600 questions, right?
Yeah.
And it's just for
551. Yes.
Nice. Spoken like an absolute expert. That so it was at the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is really just to identify, it's not to say this person isn't going to be affected by reality television or this person isn't going to have, it's just to say, do we have anybody who has really questionable thinking patterns and it could be dangerous or isn't in their right mind? And it's not doing the same thing as, say, talk therapy or anything like that would do. So after I had, on my last season of the show, it was a hard season to go out on because I won but then didn't get any money. It was a whole thing. And I asked them, is there somebody I could talk to? And the psychiatrists, or psychologists, I guess, and psychiatrist, whatever, he said that he doesn't do talk therapy, which is correct. This was before I became a therapist. This was before I really knew who I needed to talk to about this. And he's the person who can diagnose meds. It's totally a different meeting when you're meeting with a psychiatrist than when you're meeting with a therapist. There's different goals. There's different. Everything is different about that. And what I need and what a lot of people on reality television need is the talk therapy afterwards, is the supportive therapeutic environment. I left that show and then went back to my own therapist, who was a 65-year-old woman who had no idea of what reality television was really. And I had to spend 2 sessions just giving the background of why this is important, why I'm not just like making this up, why having social anxiety afterwards is a little bit different when people actually are looking at you, and like, because that's different than just going around and thinking people are looking at you. So I don't know
it's
what to
almost
do
like
with that,
you had to go back to work.
Yes. And I'm like, fine, I'll just get my master's in it and I'll just do it. None of you, forget it. I'll do it.
Can you share with? I mean, that sounds like a genuinely traumatic thing that
Yes.
happened on that last season, because you haven't been back.
I have not been back, but not because of that, more because of I got accepted into grad school while I was on that season, and then started, and now, like, I don't have 3 months to give. Sorry, clients, BRB. Never gonna. I can't do that. I'm never gonna do that. I'm never going to, like, phase out all. Like, that would take so long to do, and so forget it. That's so.
Well, this is a new chapter for you. It sounds like. Is that a thing you want to talk about or no?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I just got traumatized.
It is terrible. It is terrible. It's. I think the thing that was most terrible about it was, I am. This is why I don't work in treatment centers and can't work with addicts, because I believe what people say. And I am not good at believing lies, and I'm a terrible liar myself. I can't do it. So I don't. I will be very selective about my words, and sometimes maybe lie by omission. That's how I made it through the challenge. But I do not lie. Like, I can't. So when somebody tells me we are friends and I've got you and we're in this together, I am like, yes, all right, we're in this together. Let's do this. And losing money was not as hurtful as feeling like I had been lied to and didn't pick up on it. That I am in relationships, I tend to get with narcissists who I am just an easy victim for that kind of person who's like, she is very trusting, and I could definitely take advantage of that. So I learned that lesson the hard way again and again and again, but also on that episode and that season, because I really did believe that we were friends and that I could trust him. And what a fool I was.
Well, I don't know. Nobody wants to go through life not trusting anyone. I mean, that sucks. It's depressing. And lonely. I mean, we didn't really give a synopsis, and if it's too much for,
No,
I think you would do a better job.
Good. I'm very healed. We're all good.
Hit us with what happened for someone who never saw.
Okay, for somebody who never saw, it was a season called Rivals, where we were paired together, me and this guy named Johnny Bananas, which should tell you enough. I mean, his
I was just
nickname's
going to
after
say,
a piece of fruit. You're 45, for Christ's sake.
Come on, buddy.
So, so we were paired together, and we were considered rivals because on a previous season, I was not on his team, but I and my partner voted him in to be up for elimination in the last challenge, which apparently is like the worst thing anybody could do. Insane. It's just protecting. And I won that season. So the move that I made solidified me first place, which is exactly why I did it. Okay, so flash forward, we're on the exes or rival season, and
of the challenge,
and we are paired together, and we are doing great. We are crushing it. We are winning everything, and we are not winning we are winning together, and we are winning like a lot of these. It takes two. We are a very, very well we fill in the gaps for each other in a lot of ways and crush the challenge.
You were getting closer. You guys were getting closer throughout the seasons
yeah.
by doing this hard stuff together.
Yes. And if you know anything about like the transfer of arousal, anytime, people, they say you want to fall in love, go skydiving together or something.
Yeah.
Because the heart rate, that adrenaline rush, that they've done studies on this, that like you will have more fond, positive feelings for, and like be attached in a way to people that you go through any sort of arousal inducing event, like anything that like makes you aroused in a way, like just heightens your emotions, good, negative or positive, really. And I felt very close, and every time you would win, you'd have these like dinners together where we would just share, and I thought it was authentic, and then I learned that this was more staged and more for the camera on his part. And so then at the very end, the very last challenge, we're racing in the final together.
What was the last challenge?
The final was a 2-day competition where we had multiple stages along the way. We were racing together as a team, but also individually, where we were doing these checkpoints, and we had to compete each checkpoint, and then we had like our individual time and then our team time. And I mean, we were crushing it. We were doing great, and we were tied, and he and I were tied, and there was a challenge or one of these checkpoints where you had to stand on a log as long as you can while your other partner slept, and then you'd switch off, and whoever logged more time on the log was the winner. And they later, at the final, there were so many things that just really made this traumatic for me in a way, or hard for me. I wouldn't even label it as like traumatic, just like intense and emotional.
And the money too, like that was a lot of money.
I mean, it was, but I can honestly say the money is not like 50% of it is gone anyway to
that's a good point.
Like taxes. Yeah. And then you think of that over like it just yes and no. It's like not now they're $1 million prizes, and that would be insane if I didn't get that. I'd be so pissed.
But this was like to take a break. Don't they pay them over like 50 years? Some crazy like sad.
They do for half of the beginning and half at the end. So you get half when the first episode airs, and you get half when the last episode airs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought I meant like prize money. I don't know. We were watching
but it could be different with big prizes. I don't know. That's just how they've always done it with our money.
My son is an AGT fan, and I've been just pretending to be my best because it bums me out in some ways. But anyway, I love him, and he caught this, the last one where, spoiler alert, Richard Goodall wins all this money. He's a custodian from the Midwest, and which is heartwarming. And so you're all like emotional, and like right before the last credit comes on, it said like $1 million prize paid over 40 years. Or you can take like the lump sum of what would be $1 million in 40 years, which what is that? I don't even know. Right. $100,000. So it was like seemed like you go through this whole harrowing journey. You're all happy for this guy because it's going to be a life-changing amount of money. And he I mean, I don't know how old he is, probably 60, 65. So, I mean, unless he lives to 100. So, it was a real, again, another thing where like my son even was like, oh, that's why did they do that? He's only 11, so.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to go back to your actual important journey. I think I needed an emotional break.
As any of the other ones. But when it came down, they had the producers found Adderall in his pockets of his jacket, and he beat me in a challenge where you had to stay up as long as you could. And that seemed pretty shitty that he was and he doesn't have a prescription for it. And the joke is, after that, the biggest like irony of it all is that after that season, I went to grad school, and then in my psychopharmacology class, like went up to the professor after class and was like, I think I have ADHD. And the professor's like, wait, you don't know you have ADHD? And I was diagnosed in grad school, and like my professors and my psychiatrist was like, I can't believe that you made it through. They did all like the testing, and we're like, you are like off the charts. How on earth did you make it through? So I should have been medicated during that whole final and would have had the prescription for it. He does not have a diagnosis and had basically like illegal meds and contraband that then they fined him $3,000, and he said to
That's
me
it?
and he said to me at the reunion or one of the filmings afterwards, he said, I am going to take that punishment every day of the week, because obviously if I'm winning $375,000, which when split would have been like $179,000 for each of us, which is, half of that, get little less than $100,000. Like, it's
not bad. But,
it's not bad, but it's not like, I'm going to like buy a house. You can't even buy a house with that shit, so I can barely buy a car with that,
Gosh, what's that? What was it like afterward? Because you said you have just regular conversations where he talks about it afterward? I don't understand.
No, he never talked to me again. I mean, we sat next to each other at a reunion, and I was like, what the actual f-?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I'm going to.
So that was all real. Like that, like you finding that information out. Him, sort of double crossing or whatever, just lying.
Yes.
And then he was on meds at the time. $3,000. What?
And that's how they fined him. And that kind of feels shitty. And they should have at least given the fine to me.
I agree.
I think at least.
I think they should have given it all to you after that.
Like, come on. Yeah. And so that was kind of shitty. And that felt like, and then I tried to talk about it, and MTV and everybody went around saying that I was unavailable for interviews because I was in school. And I was like, my school, I'll make time.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Like that's not all day, every day. So that was kind of annoying and frustrating and silencing.
Well, that is, I think that's a good point. Sarah,
yes.
You are describing with the story the very reason that it would be helpful to have people on set who could help you, could talk through it. But the whole time I've been thinking, is that by design? Because it almost seems like, and when you talked about having to take the MMPI, if I'm a producer and I want people to do stuff that doesn't make sense to get attention, do you think there's any of, hey, I'm going to pick this person who I can see has a personality disorder because that's going to make, create drama on TV?
Those are very important and good questions to ask and wonder, because I feel like it's got to be a little bit of what is happening and it's great television. Everything that happened in that final, I do not. I'm not surprised it happened. I'm not outraged. I'm not. I'm just. It's like they say, it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. Like it feels a little bit like that, where I don't like the things that people have said to change the story, or that, Johnny went on a podcast and said that he had never felt so alone or isolated or something, like after making that decision, and all the crew like looked at him like he was, I don't know, the bad guy or whatever. And
stupid and selfish.
I was like, what? I'm sorry.
Oh, Johnny
Why are you
Bananas.
crying to your money?
Aww.
Like, boo-hoo. Like, what do you want to say? And maybe they were looking at you like that because they just found out you were a goddamn cheater.
Yeah.
Like, and was it isolating and alone? No, that's my story. That's my line. Don't do that. So.
What a weird.
That's odd. Yeah.
Do your clients ever get nervous you're going to say something about them because of your public life?
No, I think I do a good job of keeping those two things separate. And I've been married and divorced and gone through bad relationships and everything like that on while having a podcast and in the public eye. And if I haven't said anything about those, like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you have your own story to tell.
I have my own story to tell. Exactly.
Reality TV and being on a show sounds like it would be the exact opposite of therapy, because in therapy you're You're trying to create that safe holding environment. There's some confidentiality. It's like the absolute effing opposite of that.
The opposite. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. And so
really riding both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I want to explore that for a minute, because I'm just now having that realization, which you've probably had, every year. But you go on there, and the idea is it almost makes you unwell.
Oh, absolutely. That it because it in order for the show to work, it brings out some character traits or even behaviors that go against a lot of like social norms, or go against things that we push for in a civilized society.
Yeah.
And this is like throw people under the bus, look out for yourself. There's physical violence. It's just not healthy. And I think that can make people devolve in those environments.
To wrap up that experience you had on that last season, if you had been the one with more points and had the choice to split the money, my guess is you would have.
Every day of the week. And anyone who knows me in my real life, like really knows me. Mm-hmm. It's not even a question that I would do. Yeah, they're like, of course she would.
Because
do
you said you would.
Sarah would do that. Yeah, because she said it, and that is what she's like, and they know that. They've told me that. They're like my friends. My closest friends are my two friends from like kindergarten. So I'm like, they've known me for forever. They're like, yeah,
they'll tell you.
They will tell you. My kindergarten friends will tell you. Show me one of Johnny's kindergarten friends he's still friends with, and. He
honestly sounds like he would be on a show for kindergartners with his name. So I'm sure he has a few.
Yeah. So
wow.
I 100% would do that. There's because I said I would, and because I couldn't be. I would never be the kind of person. I love taking the high road. I love being the one who gets to be like, well, I did this morally, like.
Whatever the motivation, you like being able, like sometimes we have that motivation. It's just like, well, I'm a better person and I want to show it.
I would have loved to show that off against Johnny fucking Bananas, please.
Yeah.
That is exact. And so they don't want me to win. They're like, nah, let him win with the Adderall because she would split it and that's bad, boring TV.
Yeah. I'm saying there's no way any producers put that Adderall in his pocket. There's no way they gave him that. I mean, there's no.
I know that he had that because he offered it to me, and I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had I would have been so good at that challenge. I already won that. It was a challenge where we had to memorize things, stay up all night long, and I already crushed that. And I'm like, because I have ADHD, I can stay up all night forever.
Hyper focused. I was thinking, like, the things that you've been so good at with the ADHD, because in some ways it would, as someone who struggles with the very same, symptoms and my executive functioning takes a lot of energy. However,
so much.
And it's probably, that's my excuse for not working out or snowboarding or skiing. It's just that I have to make decisions all day. But you probably had a superpower in some ways
thank you.
With the ADHD. Talk about that, because there's people out there listening that have ADHD, and I don't know if everyone realizes, and even for me in business and with the amount of people we've been able to help at our company, if I didn't have ADHD and I wasn't able to be hyper focused at certain times, I don't think it would have happened.
Right. That is absolutely a superpower for me. And like you have to hone it. I kind of think of it as, I think his name is Cyclops from X-Men, who has the vision that is like laser beams for eyes, basically.
Yeah.
And if he just like opens his eyes, they're like laser beams everywhere, cutting everybody up. It's terrible. Yeah. But he went to school with like Dr. X or whatever his name is.
Professor X
Professor
over
X.
at the old institute or whatever that old building is.
Got the special glasses and he learned how to do it. And now he's all like pew pew, all controlled. And that's kind of like all those X-Men. It feels like that. It's like if you can learn what you need to do. For me, it's like I got to go do that thing where I'm running around and expending a whole bunch of energy, and I got to get that out somewhere, and then that'll help me focus on like the thing or like get the rest I need to or whatever it is. But I think like sometimes environments where there's a whole bunch going on or I need to remember a lot, it's either I surprisingly will do fantastic in those where I won't be able to remember to put my bill in the mailbox. That it never is going to happen.
Boring.
I don't know why. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But to memorize, 40 different seasons of a challenge and keep them up in your head while running and doing this and all this, like I was built for that. So it's a superpower.
I wanted to talk, Sarah, with you about just what it would look like. Like, do you have some kind of dream or vision? Speaking of visions, do you have some kind of dream or vision for what people in the entertainment industry who are going through, because it's not just reality TV. I mean, scripted TV is, we have friends and we've talked to people and it often sounds so grueling and terrible. And we have to give the producers or the people making the shows some kind of, like, what's a pitch you could give them? Because hopefully they could see like a healthy person could still make a good show.
Yes. I think that in the same way that we have, when you do a reality show, you have on-site paramedics just in case something happens. We don't think something's going to happen. We're hoping that nothing happens. But we have them there because that's a good, safe idea, and it's helpful to protect everybody, to protect the show, to protect the production company, to say that you're doing everything right and providing all the care that you need to. We have a legal team. We have a lawyer who's on set there to look and be like, this is actually breaking game show law or whatever they say might need to be, aware of. And that person, hopefully they don't break any law and they don't need the lawyer, but they're there just in case. I don't understand why it's that crazy or difficult or hard or asking so much to have a mental health professional, just a therapist, just like a therapist who maybe she grew up with parents who were in the film industry, like myself. Maybe she's well versed in set life. Maybe she was a child actor who was on set and knows what that world is like, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. Maybe she was on reality TV. Maybe that would be the perfect person to just have doing my crossword puzzles until it's like, you know what, somebody's been in the bathroom with a sharp object and has a history of self-harm, and maybe we should knock on that door.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't send the 22-year-old PA in there to do it. This seems like a no-brainer for me. And now I'm using my passionate, angry voice, so I apologize. But
I think it's great. I think that's what we wanted because the show's called This Helps. I know that you are passionate about that. What would it look like? It almost feels like you could have, I don't know if it'd be better to have you behind the scenes or like you could have a show that talks to people who have been on, kind of thrown into that environment. And then has that ever come up? That seems like it would be cool. That
does come up, but I believe that the thing that the same thing that makes you sick can't be the cure.
What do you mean?
That a reality show to help people get through what reality television did to them is trying to be cured by the same thing.
Questionable. Yeah, you'd have to kind of follow some of the same.
Yeah, I do it off everything. And that's what I would want. I just want there to be a therapist or mental health professional, social worker, whatever it is, somebody, like professional counselor who can be on set in the same way the paramedics are, same way the lawyer is, same way everybody else is. And if there is a situation that requires additional care, that gets taken care of off camera, that is something, I mean, maybe if they need to record it, but it's confidential, it's there the same way, like, they wouldn't be putting up, I don't know, if like our medical stuff, if like I was talking to a doctor about that,
If you had
there's
diabetes, they would definitely
right.
have someone. I mean, I'm sure there's, like you said, there's paramedics and.
It seems like we don't need to overcomplicate it. We don't need to make it's just protective factors.
Mm-hmm.
Just there, because I remember my first season of the show, and there was a woman who was absolutely struggling with substance use issues and addiction, and they sent me in my first season to go help her in the morning. And I was not equipped at 21 years old on my first reality show to be a proper help to this woman who really needed care. And had somebody been on set, I think a lot of things could have gone different for a lot of people who struggled after the show. And it doesn't take much. It's literally a person who can then get proper resources that are available in everybody's area. The other thing is everybody lives. These are people from all over the world. So to say you can't, you then would have to make sure that the therapists that are available for them after are therapists that are local to them, because there's between state issues with licenses and all that stuff. So,
and culturally too, it would be helpful.
Absolutely, that we want to find therapists who are well matched to these people, and they need somebody that would be part of that therapist job. That afterwards, I find 3 or 4 therapists in everybody's area that they get 5 sessions with the therapist of their choice. Here are the ones who are already like vetted for this, who already have an understanding of what we're doing, what reality television is, not of the person or of any of their details, but just what that would be an appropriate fit for people who are in this very unique situation.
Right.
And that they are not, there's no way that they are doing that right now.
It's hard to believe, and I take it, you would know, but it's hard to believe that in an industry which is known for sort of using people shamelessly to gain something, that you wouldn't have any kind of aftercare or support during. And we have a friend who's a musician, and we were actually talking to him about the same thing, because he said, he was playing these huge like 80,000 people. He'd be, on stage one night, and then, and this was probably 10 years ago when that all started. And then he said every single person that was in the band or even on stage, he was in the band. So the person on stage who was the vocalist had pretty much anything and everything they could need. But everyone else, the session players or the people who go on tour, they can't afford the therapy, because it's like, you're on tour with so-and-so, so you should that should be good enough. Right. And he said that everyone, including in this case, the people who were, kind of out front, everyone spends most of their time under the influence on tour. Yeah. And most of it is not like a cool version, not like a rap video version. Right. It's like I'm just trying to do something really, really hard, and my mental health is such that it's too painful to not do this stuff. So, I just think the entire industry, so reality TV is maybe one of the best examples, but I think in all these things where we, as fans and as people who watch the shows, we start to really care about folks that we see, but at the same time, like, it would be awesome if we could maybe start something or work together because we're still in Southern California here and always looking to make a difference. And so maybe there's something we could do. Yeah. There are wonderful groups that are starting here and there. There's one called You Can. It's one of the guys from Love is Blind, and he teamed up with some lawyers and some mental health professionals and started a group. And there is a list of therapists who are qualified therapists and who are available for reality stars and people who are in that industry and other industries in the entertainment industry. And so, hopefully they're going to
be some changes that come, and more people can talk about it and recognize that it is an important thing. We are starting to see more actors, more people in the public eye be open about their own struggles with mental health and normalizing it in a way. And I think that is what that was trying to do. I think that's what like a lot of great shows that show what happens in the therapy room like help do. And I like that it's becoming almost fashionable to say like, oh, well, my therapist said da da da, or my like I got to go to therapy. I'm like, yeah, more of this. Like,
yeah. I feel like if you talk to people in LA, they talk more about the therapist than anyone else because it's such a it's a business where it's hard. You have to pay someone to trust them to not say anything,
right?
And so, but yeah, when they go on, it's a lot of times they don't.
Right.
You would never know.
And I love that confidentiality. It's like my favorite thing to know. I'm just like a box of secrets.
Yes,
and it's totally fine. And
Sarah, it's been incredible to get to know you and to hear your story and to hear like the behind the scenes of the realness of it. So I just appreciate you coming on, being vulnerable, being
Thank
open.
You guys.
I think people are going to really identify with a lot of the things that you said, whether they were on TV for 10, 11 years or not.
Yeah. We're all just people over here, so I certainly hope so. And I'm so happy if they are able to connect to any of that.
I just wanted to thank you for your passion and for being here. And I just wanted to mention, yesterday I was talking with my partner and I brought up that we were going to talk to you. He got really excited. He's watched many seasons. Just want to let you know you have a fan.
Thank you so much. And I always say anybody who watched the show and is a fan of me, it tells me everything I need to know about you because it means you're probably somebody who roots for the underdog. You're like the nice person. You're really kind. It's always like those like male golden retrievers who are like fans of mine. And they're always the sweetest, nicest humans. And so I am very, very grateful for anybody who's ever said that they were a fan of mine. And thank you so much to your partner.
He's going to be excited for that shout out with the
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Yes.
So Sarah, people can hear you. I'm sure they already want to hear more of what you have to say and your balance of kind of being in mental health, but also having the history that you've had and the just all of the experiences. You seem like such a cool, interesting person.
Oh,
and just
thank you.
Moving to Colorado because you love snowboarding. I mean, that's
well, also
that's a
both
boss
my
move.
brothers live here, so that did help too. I did have family here, but
All
they
right.
moved here for the mountains too. So now we're all just out here for the nature and mountains and camping and.
Well, hopefully they can take some time out of their busy snowboarding schedule and watch what a badass you are on TV. Because that they need to be more, my opinion, which you didn't ask for, is they need to be a little bit more validating around that.
Thank you.
But where can people hear and keep up with you?
Oh, you can check me out on both my podcasts. I've got the therapy-themed podcast called This Changes Everything and the fun, brainy Brain Candy podcast, the Brain Candy podcast, available, wherever you guys stream your podcasts. This one right here, wherever you listen to this, you can find the Brain Candy podcast and This Changes Everything.
Awesome.
And I'm Sarah Rice on all social media.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope it helped. Stay connected with us at thishelpspodcast.com.